I was able to get a $300 refund on a GPU that I purchased almost 2 months ago. Now, this is going to be something a lot of you are going to experience, not necessarily the refund part, but buying a GPU where the prices, even 2 months ago, they were still really, really high. And over the last 2 months, they've gone down a considerable amount. For example, look at this GPU here. Pricing was considerably more. This was one that I used various times as an example, the 3080 Ti from Asus. Very expensive, but it's dropped a massive amount. Part of that is going to be with the tariffs expiring, which were roughly 25%. That's going to account for a lot of what happened with Asus here. And then other parts of it are just going to be the market softening up. Who knows if it's worldwide events? Maybe the Ethereum merge coming up has spooked a lot of people. Maybe less crypto miners are buying it. Maybe the demand has just settled a little bit because new GPUs are coming. I'm going to tell you how I got that $300 discount. And it's actually going to be pretty interesting because it's using something, and it is going to be from Best Buy, that a lot of people actually complained about. But in this case, it actually worked out pretty well. And maybe if you're lucky enough, you may also still be able to do it as well if you purchased a GPU like I did. So let me tell you how I was able to get that $300 refund. 2 months ago, sometime in February, I picked up an Asus 3070 Ti. Now, at the time, the pricing was still pretty high. It was around $949 or $69 or thereabouts. This was way before the prices started to come down, and of course before the tariffs knocked out another 25% around April 1st. Who knew what the market was going to be like back then? So anyway, I purchased that GPU. And this was done specifically at Best Buy, which has had one of the bigger drops in terms of new GPUs during the last few years. If you want something like a Founders Edition, it's going to be the only place that's going to allow you to get that Founders Edition, which is attractive because of its original MSRP. Trust me, at the time, if I could have gotten a 3070 Ti Founders Edition, which is $599 compared to $949, I definitely would have done that. It's just what was available at the time. So when Best Buy had one of their online drops a few months ago, they also initiated something, Total Tech, that package that cost about $200. And on that specific drop, they actually required you to have Total Tech if you wanted a chance at getting one of these GPUs. Specifically, the Founders Edition is really going to be the more sought after ones like I mentioned, but basically any high-end demand GPU, you needed that. Then later, they kind of dropped that requirement in drops that happened, and sometimes, depending on the store that you went, if you use that little SKU lookup and you ask the associate if a GPU was in stock, some of the stores would make you buy the Total Tech because it's a high demand item. This happened to many people. Some stores wouldn't do it at all. It is very highly inconsistent across different Best Buy stores. Each stores and their managers certainly have their policies. So Total Tech was useful for some who were able to get GPUs because you were required to get it during specific drops and in specific stores. So I had Total Tech, it was $200, and of course nobody was really happy about paying that because it just put up a paywall before you could even get a chance at getting something like a Founders Edition or something like that. I didn't have it specifically for this 3070 Ti, the Tough, but I did have it because I tried for a Founders Edition, which I was unsuccessful at, around that same time. Now, that $200 was more than paid off by my $300 in savings on the Asus Tough. This is why. This was back in February, and now we're in April. As you can see, that's well beyond most reasonable return periods. If you're going to be a Best Buy Elite member, they're only going to give you about 45 days to return it, and that's pretty generous. Some places are only 15 days, some places 30. Now, Total Tech, one perk that it does give you is going to be a 60-day return period. People can argue about the merits of all of the other things included in the package. I don't think many of my viewers are going to need the 24/7 Geek Squad support because they're usually going to be Geek Squad themselves for their own family members. So that's not something you would really pay for. Some of the protection plans, I guess, if you buy like a phone and you get sort of the screen protection, could be useful. But anyway, people didn't really like having to buy a GPU. But fast forward almost 2 months later, and while I'm within the 60-day return period of the GPU, prices on this particular Asus Tough 3070 Ti have dropped a considerable amount. Best Buy has a very good price match policy. Even on their own website, it went from $949 to about $799. So that's already a significant drop in price. Now, I looked around online and many other places like Micro Center and even Amazon, this same GPU is already $699. So basically what I did, since I was within that 60-day return period and I have Total Tech, I got in touch with Best Buy and I said, listen, I'm about to return this GPU because the price has dropped almost $300 and it's within the return window because I'm a Total Tech member. I get that little extra time. If I didn't have this extra time, probably would not have been able to do this because I would have been limited to 30 days or 45 days, all within their system and their regulations. Now, they were more than willing to price match it, but at first only to the Best Buy site, which is $7.99, which is still a nice savings from, I believe it was $9.69 I originally paid for it. Still a very nice savings, but still made me think about returning it because I knew that elsewhere it was $6.99. They didn't want to match Micro Centers because it was sporadically in and out of stock. Some of the stores that had it were really far away, like over 250 miles. So I said, okay, at least price match it now. I still got another day or two to decide. Right before I decided to actually return it, I looked up and on Amazon, it was actually in stock for $6.99. So I contacted Best Buy again and they were able to price match that same price, $6.99, almost 2 months after I had bought it. So that's one perk, I guess, of having Total Tech. Having that 60-day return period allowed me to actually allow the market to catch up with these prices that were going down. And if I didn't have it, I definitely would not have been able to do this. And this is, of course, like I said, all within their rules and regulations that they have and their time limits. So that almost $300 refund basically paid for the entire Total Tech package, plus a little more if I hadn't had it. So that at least is value in and of itself. And I recommend you guys, if you purchase a GPU at Best Buy, check the pricing now, especially if you had to buy Total Tech during the last few months to be able to get a GPU. Not all of them have gone down as drastically as this one. It's a combination of the tariffs and just prices going down in general, but you should be able to have Best Buy price match not only their own store website, check that first. Sometimes these GPUs have dropped enough already on that website, but you should be able to have them match another retailer that is within their scope of whatever they cover. And like in my case, Amazon, they were able to price match it, and that's a significant savings. Basically, the difference between, okay, $6.99 for a 3070 Ti, definitely that seems like a very good price for an Asus TUF. I mean, look at the Founders Edition at $599. To pay a $100 premium for what is a premium third-party AIB GPU with a really nice cooler, very nice design and build quality, I think that's definitely fair. $900 plus was it was before, and remember last year these were even higher, maybe closer to $1,100. That's way out of the league of anything reasonable. Within $100 of the original Nvidia MSRP, definitely pretty fair because the 3070 Ti is still a very high performance GPU, and at that price it definitely makes sense. So this shows you how quickly that things are changing in the market. So as many of these tools that you guys have, be it return policies at Best Buy or whatever, like Total Tech, I know it really sucked to have to pay that $200 to be able to have access to the GPUs at first. Now that things are better, keep an eye out for little things like this. Check the pricing on not only GPUs, but other components you've bought within the last 30 days or the last 60 days in the case of Total Tech. Prices, if they go down, you can either return it within that period of time, or you can have them price match whatever the new pricing is. And as in this case, I saved several $100s, and I'm sure there are probably thousands of people in the same situation. With so many people buying GPUs, specifically from places like Best Buy, especially with the inflated pricing that we had even up to the beginning of this year, it's only been within the last month or so that these prices have really gotten better. This is definitely something a lot of people can take advantage of. And check all other retailers and have them price match outside of Best Buy as well, because as we've seen, Best Buy doesn't always have the latest and greatest pricing. Sometimes it will go down a little bit, but it takes a while to really catch up with the market. I can understand why a lot of people maybe wouldn't even bother looking or think about looking, because traditionally in the normal GPU market, you buy a GPU and it's typically going to be almost years before the price is really discounted at all. Not like overnight, like basically has happened within the last few months, because typically the price that you bought it at, let's say if you bought it in 2019 or 2018, it's going to be the MSRP price, and then you can expect the price to stay like that and only go down if it's used. Now, we've had really different situations happen within the last few months, the last year and a half even, ever since RTX 3000 came out, that pricing generally is way above what the retail MSRP pricing should be. For example, like this 3070 Ti TUF at almost $1,000 $1,000 like it was when I got it, and it really dropped a considerable amount. You would only expect that with a product that's going to be immediately replaced or something like that, which isn't really totally the case with the RTX 3000, because the RTX 4000, yes, it is coming, but it's still really a long time away, and we don't know how the shortage is going to affect that particular next generation GPU. I've said many times I expect it to be pretty expensive, and they're probably going to have a limited run of it, much like they did initially with the RTX 3080. Very difficult to get. I'm sure the demand is still probably going to be high then, definitely not as high as it's been during the last year and a half, unless something changes, because as we stand now, the market is definitely sort of whimpering a little bit and getting a little bit weaker as we see more GPUs available in stock and at much better pricing. That's really the combo here that we've been missing for a very long time. All right, guys, so I just wanted to give this sort of like public service announcement. If you've bought a GPU recently, check the price drop. You may still be either within your return period, or you may be able to get that store, if it's a retailer like Best Buy, to price match whatever you purchased it at compared to what it's available at now. And you can save a considerable amount of money. That can buy you, an additional RAM kit or even some CPUs. It's not a small difference. GPUs were obscenely overpriced, and now that they're cheaper, take advantage of that, because the retailers didn't care when they were selling it to you at those inflated prices, so you shouldn't care either if you're going to get a nice little discount on it. So remember to subscribe for more content like this and tips on PC building and GPUs and market pricing, and I'll see you guys on the next video.